Today I'm making my go-to 15-minute dinners that are super cost-effective and are delicious. These meals are for when you've had a week and you just can't even think about what to make for dinner. And the best part is they're delicious. First up, we've got our broccoli and tofu pasta, which was the most cost-effective one, under 12 bucks. Let's start by separating our scallions, the white part from the green part, and giving them a rough dice. The white part will be used to cook with and the green to top with. Once your salted pasta water is boiling, add in your spaghetti and give it a stir and cook that until al dente. Add in some olive oil in a medium pan over medium heat and add in your crushed garlic along with the broccoli. And I like to steam cook my broccoli just by adding in some water, and then I add in my seasonings, a little bit of salt, a little bit of onion powder. You can add in garlic powder if you want some extra garlic kick. And then I just cover it and let it steam for about 3 to 4 minutes. You do want to make sure not to overcook it because we want to make sure it has a nice crunch. Once that's done, just remove it and put it on a plate uncovered so that it doesn't continue cooking. In the same pan, add in some olive oil on medium-high heat, and then you'll add in the white parts of your scallion and saute those for about a minute or until you can smell the aroma. Frank, my garlic crusher. Although I feel like I should rename him, like Frank is not an appropriate name. Kind of doesn't feel appropriate, but what should I name this little guy? Add in the chopped garlic, and then you're gonna saute that for about 30 seconds, making sure not to burn the garlic. And I just like to crush the tofu with my hand, but I remember my dad used to put it in a bowl and crush it that way, but I don't mind getting my hands dirty. But you can do either way, and you wanna saute it on high heat just to remove some of that moisture. And then you're gonna add in the soy sauce and the oyster sauce and stir fry that for about 2 minutes. And I'm adding in some garlic powder and some onion powder just to give it a little boost. Yum. Guys, in only 15 minutes. That's it, super easy. Once your spaghetti is ready, you'll add that back in and give it a nice stir until the tofu and the spaghetti is combined. And then you'll add in your broccoli and give it a gentle toss. You don't want the broccoli to get crushed. You can also add more soy sauce or oyster sauce. Just give it a taste and adjust it based on how you like it. I topped it with my reserved green scallions at the end, but you do not have to do that. You can just save it and top the individual portions with the green scallions. Totally up to you. Also, some sesame seeds would be nice. I can't wait to try this. This brings me back to being a teenager. And my dad would cook like on Wednesday nights, and this was one of his go-to dishes because it was just so quick and easy to make, and it tastes so good. Yeah, I'm using my fingers. That is so delicious. The tofu, for the longest time, I didn't even realize was tofu as a kid. I thought it was scrambled egg, so if your kids are picky eaters, you don't even have to tell them. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know if you tried in the comments. Next up, we've got a creamy and cheesy shells pasta that comes together in under 15 minutes and is under $20 to feed a family of 4. Start by heating a large pan on medium heat, and you're gonna melt down 2 tablespoons of butter and then add in your crushed garlic. You'll saute that for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then I'm adding in some fresh lemon juice just to deglaze the pan and give it a little bit of a citrus kick. If you've got fresh chicken stock at home, you can use that, but I'm using a store-bought chicken bone broth that is super high in protein, and that's what's gonna provide some of the protein in this dish. Once that's boiling, I'll add in my pasta shells and cook it based on the directions on the package. You want them to be slightly al dente. You can cook them a little softer if that's what you like. But once a lot of the water has evaporated, I would say about 75%, I add in my heavy cream. And now you'll turn off the heat and grate in some fresh Parmesan. You can even do Pecorino Romano if that's what you have. I grated in about 1.5 cups, but honestly, grate until your heart is happy. This is based on how you like it. And then I'm adding in just a little bit of salt and pepper. Make sure to taste and adjust however you like it. And I like to finish it off with about 1.5 tablespoons of butter. And literally, it's just done in 15 minutes. Another great pasta dish, just like our tofu and broccoli, except this one is for cheese lovers like me. And of course, I finish it off with some more cheese. Now this right here is like my super quick, I've had the longest day, I can't even, and I need to get something on the table. It's cheesy, so everybody loves it. And you don't really need a protein just because the chicken broth has protein and so does the cheese. But pick up a rotisserie chicken if you want something with it. But I love this one. Next up, we've got something on the healthier side, my baked tilapia and cherry tomatoes that comes together so quickly. And this dish came out to about $17, which is super amazing. And the only chopping you've got to do is chopping your cherry tomatoes in half and setting those aside. And this sauce is also super easy. You'll just melt 1/2 cup of butter and then you're gonna add in the crushed garlic. And for our seasonings, I've got some Cajun seasoning, some onion powder, some garlic powder, some dried parsley, and some salt and pepper. And then of course, I'm adding in some fresh lemon juice. And you'll just place your tilapia or whatever white fish you choose on the bottom of a large baking dish. And I have 4 fillets here that I'm just gonna make fit. And then you're gonna just take your sauce and pour that on top, making sure to cover every piece. And just make sure to save about 1/3 of the sauce so that when you add your cherry tomatoes back in, you can top them with the sauce. Oops, straggler. Add the tomatoes in and spread them evenly across. And just top it off with the rest of the sauce. Try to cover the tomatoes. Beautiful. Cover with aluminum and bake it at 450 degrees Fahrenheit for 6 minutes, and then bake it uncovered for an additional 5 minutes. Done. And it's ready, and it's developed this beautiful sauce with the lemon and the Cajun seasoning and the butter. So it's super, super fork tender. Well, I'm using a spoon, but you can see that it's so tender. That's also why I love tilapia. And I just went ahead and served it over rice, and I batch cook my rice on the weekends and freeze it in portions, which makes it super easy during the weekday. But you can also serve it over some cauliflower rice or eat it as is. All right, let's dig in and look at that. Super flaky, super tender. That's delicious. Super easy too. Most of the work is done in the oven. It comes together so quickly. It's perfect for weeknights. 15 minutes, that's all you need. And next up we have my family favorite, which are beef and pepper fajitas. We'll start by making our fajita seasoning with onion powder, smoked paprika and chili powder, cumin, garlic powder, salt and pepper, and mix. And believe it or not, this was only $17. And I'm just slicing my red and yellow peppers. I like to add in green, but that's all I had. Garbage. I'm not gonna throw it. So that other shot was a little bit of a disaster, because I didn't warn him that I was gonna throw my trash that way, so my poor husband. I'm using 1 large onion and just peeling it, and then you'll just go ahead and slice it into strips. You don't want it to be too thin that it falls apart or too thick. Heat a large skillet or cast iron on medium-high heat, add in some olive oil, and you'll add in your onions and saute those for about 2 to 3 minutes, just until they're softened a bit. And then I add in my crushed garlic and my peppers and saute that for another 3 to 4 minutes. Go ahead and season with about a teaspoon of the fajita mix that we made earlier. And one thing I forgot to mention is sometimes I just use the store-bought chopped veggies that's usually set aside as a fajita mix. That way you don't have any chopping to do. And I'm just gonna transfer these to a plate because I'm just gonna cook my beef in this same pot. And I like my peppers to have a little bit of a bite, a little bit of a crunch. But if you want them slightly softer, you can just cover this with aluminum foil while we cook our beef, and it'll cook it a little more. In the same pan, add in some olive oil and heat it on medium heat, and then you'll add in your crushed garlic. And don't do what I do. I stepped away and the oil got a little too hot, so my garlic cooked a little too much, but that's okay. And then I'm adding in my shaved beef, and you'll cook that for about 3 minutes until it starts to develop some color. Add in the rest of your seasoning and saute that for about another 3 minutes until all of the pieces are cooked. And you can go ahead and taste. You might want to adjust it for salt or maybe pepper. A little butter. And finish it off with some lime. So the way I like to serve this is I have the meat, I keep it in my cast iron, and I put the peppers right next to it. And I like to top it with a little cilantro, but if you hate cilantro, you can use parsley. And then I put some avocado, and we're good to go. You just put this on the table and you're ready to serve it. And it literally only takes 15 minutes, especially if you have your pre-chopped veggies. And for this one, you just put it in the middle of the table, you warm up some tortillas. I like to do it on the stove. And you just build yourself a little fajita, get a little meat in there, some peppers, they still have that crunch. And I also sometimes put cojita cheese on this, serve it with sour cream, some salsa to dip it in. It really depends on what you like, but this is my, actually, that's sad. Let's put some more meat. That's better. And it's perfect. I'm gonna try this. Y'all, this is so delicious. I hope you try it. Let me know in the comments, and I hope you enjoy these 15-minute meals.